Dov'è Gavis? Jemut live sorry. Keso tubi. Jemut taivri depan. Endo jagun Charles a lui vali miri. Endo jagun Costas. Un tairi vali Sirio trikilsa. Jemut kiven jui depan. Unei siti vili vilat. Un tairi valotti.
Until Kirk goes and invites us into his Mercedes. We're many fans, and we're ladies with many fans, not the shady ones. We'd ride along beside him in his luxurious cockpit. We're the ladies' many fans, watch your content on demand. We're the only women in this miniverse, for better or worse.
Okay, we have a full house and a lot to do. So we have two people very exciting making a debut tonight. I'll start with the more important one, Allison. Hello.
This is already bullshit.
Hi. Hi.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be here.
Good. You know, I've air quotes known you a long time from Twitter, so
True.
you know, it's about time you get on here. So we're excited, and you know, and then we have a man invading our territory over
That's
here.
right.
No big deal. Hi, Mike.
What's up, Blade? Just what I needed. More broads yapping at me, telling me what to do. Insulting me. This is exactly what I needed tonight. Thank you.
Well, we were going to go easy on you, but after that comment.
All right.
Yeah, get ready. The hot seat is coming. So I have two quick questions that I just want to make sure we're going to try to clarify some things, okay?
Okay.
Are you going to Florida in the next 3 weeks? Yes or no?
As of now, I've been told no. I've been told I can't go. I'm still willing to go, but Kirk said if I go, I'm fired. So as of right now, no. But the door is still open on mine.
Yeah, we all know those things can sometimes change. So
Sure.
be ready for that. Are you currently single?
I don't know. We'll see how this goes. The ladies are all pretty charming. I don't know.
That's not a good answer.
I am not. I am
might
not
be
yet.
After that answer.
I am not yet.
Say we get two non-answers. So how are things though? Did Alba listen to the show?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Okay, and how was that received?
Honestly, things are fine now. So here was my huge. The fight itself got overblown and made to look very silly. I still think it's a fight that pretty much every couple has. The error that I made was rushing to Steve Robinson to say, hey, well, guess what kind of a fight I'm having? And then it became a public thing. So obviously it looks very silly and stupid and ridiculous. Pretty much I just mishandled it. I should have talked it over with Alba. I should have figured something out with the boys, Latino Kirk and Will, and then presented it to Kirk and Steve. Or maybe not at all. They said today on Sirius that I should have just left Sunday and never told them, which I didn't realize that was an option. So I should have just done that, I guess. But yeah, I think everything's fine. I don't think it's that crazy an argument. You guys tell me. I don't know. Do you think I'm pussy whipped? What was your take on all this?
Mike, I heard the almost fear in your voice immediately when you were like, this is going to be a problem. So when you know things like that, you could spin it one way and say, hey, we have a healthy relationship. I know what's coming. Or you could say, well, is that a bad thing that just to ask to go on a trip becomes an issue? I see it a little bit of both ways, but I definitely picked up on it right away that you were like, we're gonna have an issue here.
I knew immediately it was going to be a fucking problem. And what I should have done, and this goes back to my whole confidence, all the bullshit I talk about all the time. But what I should have done is said, listen here, sweetheart. I'm making the bread in this household. I'm going to work on Saturday, whether you like it or not. Or some maybe a more mild variation of that. I should have talked it over with her and worked it out. Because now I think we're in a place where if we had this conversation tonight, it would be fine. It wouldn't be a big deal. But 2 nights ago, when I sprung it on her and made her cry, then it was an issue. And then I reacted right away and was like, well, it's going to be I knew it. It's going to be a fucking problem.
Well, now I have a question.
Yeah.
Because there were basically 3 excuses given. And like, I'm a mom and I know this. When there's 3 excuses given, that means none of them are the real excuse.
Right.
Because you pick one and you stick to it.
Right.
So
the birthday party was the real thing. The other excuses weren't really on my end. I think they were when Alba realized these were some trumped up charges. Started adding shit. Hey, we're looking for apartments. Yeah. What was the third one? The apartments, the birthday,
The virus.
Oh, that was complete bullshit. I'm with you, ladies, on that. That was she made some legitimate points, I guess, based on her, like if she's gonna move out, it makes sense for her to not stay here if I'm away for a week with God knows what Latino Kirk and Will are carrying and bringing in the clubs I'm sure they'll be going to in Key West and bringing that back into the room. I'm using the same shower as them. So it's a legitimate concern health-wise, but it's got nothing to, she doesn't give a shit if I get coronavirus. Who cares?
Right.
It seemed like, Mike, there was a little bit more going on than just this trip to me as a female who likes to store things in my head for the right time. Is there a bigger issue here at hand?
No, I think it was more yes and no. Not a bigger issue. It's just more this was I mean, if you guys have been in relationships, I'm sure you know it's not the first time the fucking dishes are left out that it's an eruption. It's the 15th. So this happened to be, the 12th time or whatever that I said I can't do this thing with your friends because I have to go with Latino Kirk and Will. And admittedly, this is what really got me is I understand that sounds fucking ridiculous, but it is my job, as silly as it sounds. And she wasn't seeing it that way. She was like, "Oh, you're just going on a wacky vacation," and that's where the real tension came.
I meant the birthday party thing sounds ridiculous. So I totally Kirk on
thank you, ladies. It does sound ridiculous, doesn't it?
I will say that, being in a relationship, there have been times where I guess like if I last minute canceled plans and it's been happening over and over again, like I would get pissed too. I'm the kind of person who does that. However, I also think that you don't have that typical 9-to-5 job. So I think articulating what your job description is to anybody would sound ridiculous. So I think
it's also, I should have done that by now. I should have articulated that at this point, so that's on me. Right.
But I'm saying, even though this whole trip sounds ridiculous, it's kind of like, oh, I'm on a business trip for work. Right. I mean, it's a very interesting job that you have here. So I see it from both ends too. But I think also I was thinking maybe Alba might think, oh, well, Mike doesn't want to be around me. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking from a female perspective.
Yeah, she thinks I'm using this as an excuse to not go to the party, which is something I might do, but it just wasn't the case.
Coming from a female's perspective, honestly, my thought, if I were in her position, I don't know that I would want my boyfriend tagging along to my best friend's birthday party. Like, hello, girls' day. Like, keep your ass at home. I'm going out. Like,
I like this mentality. Yes, but I get so.
My boyfriend and my best friend's man aren't friends, or my best friend doesn't have a man. There's no reason for my man to drag along. I don't need him dragging along with me.
Now, I like this lifestyle you're proposing. Here's the problem. All her friends have boyfriends, so then it becomes a thing. She's alone when I'm not there. Then that's the issue.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sure to some extent she wants to show you off. I mean, come on now.
Wouldn't you, girls? Come on.
Of course.
Let's be reasonable here.
I mean, you're on Sirius Radio. Come on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking this, and I'm not going to try to get too, I'm not outraged, but I was thinking of the double standard where we kind of laugh about like, oh, Mike's girlfriend won't let him go on a trip. But if it were reversed, and imagine saying like, oh, my husband won't let me go to this, people will get, very upset and be like, wait a second, you're in a bad relationship. This is abuse. And
right. Like we all know Christians no prize. I'm sure Tara deals with that.
Yeah, well.
So Mike, we have to ask, it's our duty here. Like, are you okay?
Right.
Is everything all right?
That's so sweet of you, Lauren.
I'm doing okay. She is in the other room. So I don't want to say anything too crazy, but I'm okay.
Okay, right. Raise your hand if you need assistance.
Right.
Thank you, girl.
Well, and another question kind of comes to mind too, and don't take this the wrong way because it is coming from me, but if this is the sort of thing that makes her pack up and leave and get upset with you, is it really the right time to be looking for an apartment together?
That's a good point.
Because then where did she go?
So the conversation we had this morning was basically, she just said that to piss me off and I overreacted to it. Again, that's a thing. I don't look at that as that crazy to say in a relationship, because it was kind of, the way I presented it was like, what, are you going to leave me over this? And she was like, I'm considering it. So she was in tears at the time. So it was a very serious moment, but I don't think she meant it 100%. She's apologized for that after. It's been a whole fucking thing and we're good now. But I get what you're saying. I still feel like it is. Maybe I'm being naive. But for all the people saying like red flag, I've gotten red flags all day. I'd be surprised if all those people are in a long-term relationship that hasn't had that type of a fight where it's little tiny bullshit that just culminates. And the difference is I've presented it publicly so people can comment on it.
Right, I agree. I'll say, I've been in my relationship for almost 11 years and this still happens. So I think, obviously we have a better way of communicating. However, back in the day, I was, over dramatic about every little thing. And, that's just how it is sometimes. I don't know how long you guys have been together. But I think that's something that may decrease over time. I don't know. At the end of the day,
almost 2 years and we don't have a lot of these. Very rare. So I'm not, it just happened to be over something that was a thing on the podcast. So I presented it on the podcast. So now it looks like we have this horrible fucking relationship, which, she beats me from time to time, but I think that's fairly normal. Like I mouth off, I kind of deserve it.
It is normal.
Yeah.
I just believe in trust your instincts. You can tell if something's wrong and if it's time to, move on. And if you're saying that it still feels good, then
one
side, we don't see everything that's going on. So
exactly.
Yeah, and if you want to get to the root of the real problem, it's that I've never said, if I had said 2 months ago, hey Kirk or Steve, can I have a 4-day week or take a Friday off or a 4-day weekend or something like that, then this wouldn't have happened now, because it wouldn't be, oh, you missed this last thing or you missed this last 5 things or whatever.
Please just take your vacation. Just take it.
Yes.
I'm just
the work never stops, Tara. Come on, I got to keep entertaining. People love me on the show so much. I have to be there all the time.
I understand that. However, you're over here like waiting to take a vacation, and as soon as I got my vacation time, I'm putting that shit in. Like I think you just have to take care of yourself. And like Kirk said, I'm sure he's understanding if in advance you did that, but you have to enjoy life and do things, away from the show. But I understand what you're saying. I feel like I'm like the woman version of you wanting to, please everyone.
I've always thought that about you, Tara. That's most people would see that as an insult, but I see that in you. Yes.
I appreciate that. Just because I would like to please everybody and I don't want any conflict, but then at the same time, you have to do you,
Well, yeah, what I was trying to say with that fucking the thing I said where I was like, is there a nicer guy than me? I was kidding, but meant it at the same time. Like what I meant by that is I'm trying to please fucking everyone. And by doing that, I'm pleasing no one. And I don't know how to that's something about me. I think Kirk said today, you got to look at in yourself for that, which is he's right. But I don't know what that is about me where I'm like, come on, just fucking like me, all right? I'm doing what I can here.
I feel you.
I think it's all true too, but I think she needs to understand as well that you don't have a normal job, right? And you're trying to get yourself up there, and for a while it's not going to be comfortable and it's not going to be predictable. You know, I think that's a really important thing. If this is something that you're really passionate about and is really important to you, which I would assume it is,
right.
You know, there needs to be some level of understanding on her end for that too. There's a lot of give and take in relationships, especially if it's going to be long term. And that's something, you know, that clearly is important to you. So
yeah, I think we got there because there was a day. Well, when I was calling Tom Hartman the other week, she kind of made a joke where I think I referenced it as working. Like I'm gonna have to work for a little while because I was in my room, and she's like, "You're making fucking prank call," like kind of. And here's another thing where at the time I was like, I found that funny, but then when she said it again today, she's like, "That's not work." I'm like, another fucking thing. So once we talked it out, it was fine. But it's these little things that just build up when you don't talk about.
I think that's a wonderful job. Like if I could just make prank calls, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm doing work, you know?
And it sounds like it's really just, you know, sitting down and making sure she understands your job so that when these things come up, she is more understanding and she's like, okay, I get it, you know, because you're right. Prank phone calls to somebody is going to be like, really, you're working? And they might get frustrated. But if she understands more and knows more about the podcast and you involve her more, that might help as well when these situations arise.
Right. What I should say is, listen, sweetheart, Tom Hartman, the top voice of the progressive left, needs to be taken down. And that's what I'm doing here. It's important stuff.
And then you can support her.
It's very important that you started that with "listen, sweetheart" too.
Yeah.
Right.
Sit down, young lady. Come on.
I mean, next time, just give her the phone number. Let her play along.
Right. All right.
Go well.
Well, I still think she should come on here sometime because I met Alba at the vigil, and she is a very lovely young lady. So.
I've thought about it. She's a sweetheart, but my hesitance and her hesitance is when we see pictures on Twitter of my mom with a cum dripping out of her mouth, then we say, well, maybe it's not the smartest idea because then once you do it, it's fucking open season. You know what I mean? Like my mom can't complain about that because she agreed to do that stupid fucking Periscope.
Right.
So Alba probably doesn't want the same thing done to her, I don't think.
Right. No. Understandable.
Well, please make sure that she knows that there is an open invitation.
All right, I will.
Now, I'm going to continue on with the Mike is a pushover topic, if I may, because
please.
I was thinking about this. They've teased us to death with an event coming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Me too.
And I was thinking, if you put Steve in one chair, Kirk in one chair, and Mike in one chair, who you giving the shakedown to try to get the information out of the quickest?
Mike.
Listen, ladies. Well, that's why I don't know that they don't tell me to, because it would be very easy to get out of me. No, I think you guys will really, a couple of you, even more so than others, maybe, will really like the announcement. I think it's if that's a little tease for you, but I think it's worth the wait in the morning.
So what we know is it's in July and it's in Maine, right?
I never said that.
You're not gonna fool me.
Lauren, it is July and it is Maine. Which is
all right. Well, you're saying that, not me.
Nice and close.
My mind trick hard at work right now.
Oh, you guys knew that already? Yeah, no, it is.
Were you sleeping at that point, Mike?
He was writing his apology letter.
Yeah, right. No, I was petrified at that point.
Summer time in Maine has a lot of possibilities. So I am, and you know, you talk about you guys, you and Alba and all those plans, and I thought, wow, July, I have nothing going on. I'm available every single day in July, so I will be attending this event. You know, because I don't know how you guys stay so busy.
Yeah, I'll see you there if Alba allows it. And yeah, that's the other thing is, how many fucking events do you want? It's coronavirus. This is an excuse to not see these people for a little while. Like, Jesus Christ, you have to see your friends every 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. I'm with you, girls.
Well, I'm really excited for it. And I think they said 8:30 tomorrow. So I will have my phone ready to order whatever tickets that I need. And
exactly.
Very good. Very smart.
I'm scared.
When do we put in a wager of who complains first and what they complain about?
Oh.
I mean,
has it happened already?
So put it this way, I don't know anything. I don't know prices or anything like that, but that's what it'll be. It'll be prices and what the money is going towards, because that's what it is for some reason. I've never seen I've never seen anything like it, where Kirk bends over backwards to almost not make money. Like he tries to not make any profit on this. Steve has to push him to make a little extra money. Yeah. And Kirk tries to not screw people, and it's amazing. I've never seen anything where it's just regular business operations, and people are like, well, where's this money going? Do you really need to charge that much? It's like, don't buy it. Go fuck yourself. I don't understand what you think is being stolen from you.
I think the other complaint you might hear, even though they've already said it's going to be an 8:30 a.m. announcement, is people who don't hear the announcement and don't get tickets for some reason because they're expecting an 11 a.m. drop of the show and they're just not paying attention and they're not ready for it. So
that's interesting. But to them, I mean, it's been tweeted out. Go fuck yourself. You know, people drop announcements like that all the time.
But they're going to
for the. Oh, they will. But this is for the upper crust, you know, the A-listers.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we've said it on this show, so they should be watching this.
Exactly. I always tell people that. If you want the real scoop, go to the Lady Minifans.
This drops tonight too. So
yeah. Awesome.
So I think we have covered everything show related.
Okay.
And we had beforehand, when there was really not much going on, we came up with a poetry slam to do. So Mike, I know you didn't have a poem prepared. So
no, I didn't know about this. I wish I had.
Unless you want to wing it, you're more than welcome to stick around. But we're going to go one by one on our Minifan themed poems.
All right, ladies. Well, I'll come back when I have a poem prepared. How does that sound?
You're welcome on here anytime.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
All right,
bye, Mike.
Bye.
Oh, so that was fun. That was fun. I feel bad because I don't feel like everyone's getting a chance to talk. Does anyone want to volunteer to go first?
Oh, hell with it. I'll do it.
All right, Brandy, go ahead.
All right. So this was a spur of the moment tonight after today's shows. I'm kind of glad Mike left. I even titled mine, Jesus, Drop the Mic. So, Jesus, lies, and disability bring together misfits so befittingly. Accounts with no identities rally to defeat hypocritical enemies. Some can't handle it, obviously, but will head to Madawaska willingly. So drink up, Geary. It's your new family. Life is a parody, so no need to get teary. After all, we're just looking for some consistency. No other podcast like this in existence, you'll see. I've got my tickets to the Wilbur. I'll be in the front row. Serious question, though. Will Elba let Mike go? Jesus, drop the mic.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Oh, good job.
Can I just say, Brandy, when you were asking Mike a question, I thought you were going to be like, well, if you're single, I'm single.
I know. We could just cancel Bachelorette now.
Mike gets the final rose.
Yes.
Yeah. The Bachelorette joke would have fit in really, really well there.
Yes.
Allison, want to go ahead?
Okay, I have to pull it up here. I'm toggling between screens. I'm a little embarrassed. Okay, so I wrote my poem about the Minifan world and the craziness that has been occurring. I did not title it. I'm not good at titles. All right, here we go. So after rolling on the ground at a bookstore and telling Entercom he'd do no more, 1 year ago, Kirk created a world we can't escape. In our dreams, we now hear Steve say, "You're live to tape." In this world, Minifans come together to talk all things KMS on Discord, Reddit, and Twitter. But sometimes things get out of line, and people forget who committed the ultimate crimes. Murchison, John Henry, and so many more. Minifans go after the right ones to help even the score. And considering this, some have been banished forever, like Andy Mayo, Linda Marks, some chick named Smugsy, and of course, Rich Kelleher. So Minifans, remember who always comes first. Stop going after each other and showing your worst. Let our podcast Jesus stand tall. Support him and remember, he unifies us all.
That is
awesome.
It's a little cultish, I understand, but that's this world, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, from what we hear, that's what we are.
Right? And kudos to Allison, because her first time on the show, and we're just in the chat kind of talking about what we could do, and I'm like, hey, let's do poetry. And she's like, sure.
I was a writing / English minor, and I had to sit through my fair share of poetry classes, which were not my favorite. So yeah, clearly I think I got A's, but I don't know why.
It paid off. It paid off for this moment.
Yes, so, it did.
Yeah, it did, if nothing else, right?
Right.
Tara, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Mine is untitled as well, and mine's a hot mess, but here we go. There are some things on my mind. Why is loving Kirk sometimes a crime? He works so hard every day to please us. So why do some piss off podcast Jesus? Why can't we all just get along? Also, whatever happened to Lauren Lynn's thong?
That is a good question.
But let's bust some chops, but not take it too far, because the shows these days have been up to par. One last thing before I go, I will always be Kirk's hoe.
Oh God.
She goes out with a bang.
Yes.
Is that consensual? I just feel like we should verify some things here.
Oh.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Everyone's rhyming, so I'm really excited. Now, I did not go to college or take poetry classes, so mine is a bit Dr. Seuss sounding, but
there's nothing wrong with that.
Dr. Seuss writes the best poems.
All right, so here we go. So many questions, so little time. The Minifan world, is it just in Kirk's mind? A complicated group the Minifans are, proud and loyal from both near and far. The van in which DEC drives, the wandering of one Latino Kirk's eyes. Will Patrick be our president for life? Will Steve from Providence try to steal your wife? With each battle, our faith never wavers, while Kevin from Bristol performs sexual favors. And while blind Mike scarfs down his third pizza pie, and S.C. Robinson tells his 6,000th lie, the parody songs, prank calls, and the gifts continue on, so Kirk's spirits will lift. I will always consider every Minifan a true friend until Kirk has had enough of our shit and says the end.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Lots of rhyming tonight, so that's fun. I had a good time writing that. So there were our poems. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Tara or Brandy, do we want to do a really quick Bachelorette recap? I know it's kind of been a slow week.
Yeah, Brandy, go ahead.
So we were able to fit in just a couple of the Zoom dates. So I'm thinking maybe push those out for another week, not eliminate anybody yet. Give an extra few days for some more, virtual dates. And then next week I'll eliminate 4 so that we're still kind of on track and go from there. So they all survive a week and get a little more time for their virtual date.
So you've done a few of them?
I have met 2 of them.
So like, what is that like? Because I could imagine.
It's different. It's actually very awkward. Just because you're
I'm
not in
surprised
person.
about that.
Yeah, it's I'm usually not an awkward person meeting new people, but in person it's so much different than, on Zoom. So it's been good, but definitely very awkward. Takes a little bit to kind of get the flow going. But other than that, they've been really nice. Had great questions. It's been great conversation once you get past the fact that there's a computer screen between you.
And how long do you chit chat for?
The ones last night were anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So
wow.
Yeah, they were lengthy. But I kind of liked that because, if they were in-person dates, you think you'd go out for drinks or dinner. So you're going to sit and chit-chat for a couple of hours. So try to give it a more real feel than what we can actually have. So
awesome.
Right.
And I will say, just to throw it out there, after Brandy eliminates the next 4, we're actually going to have the Minifans pick, I think, like the next date, or if it's the last one, we're going to give them choices and they can vote. So that'll be next week. So
yes.
I'm a little curious because I haven't dated in 15 years, Brandy. So dating virtually would be a weird thing for me too. But like, is it like you said it was awkward? But like, were there any weird awkward moments like in particular that stood out, where you were like,
There wasn't any really awkward moments once the conversation got going. It was really more just the beginning and trying to get a feel for where do we start, how do we do this, like, because you're not meeting in person, there's no like handshake, there's no hug, there's no nothing,
right. There's no distraction, there's nothing going on, you're just staring at each other.
Right. And the background at the person's house, which you normally wouldn't see the person's house on a first date, so it's
that would be like, what is in the background, how messy are you, like I would be judging.
And so it's once you get past that first 15 to 20 minutes of awkward, no distraction, where do we even start this conversation, it kind of flows, but it's definitely awkward.
oh my gosh,
you're very brave.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're gonna work a little bit backwards here, because Allison's first time on here, but because we wanted to deal with the Mike stuff, I think we should do just a little bio on you, Allison, because I know you've been a Kirk fan for a long time. So
very true.
I don't know if you want to say anything about how you discovered listening to him.
Sure. So I actually moved to San Francisco for a couple of years. I think it was in 2013. And I've grown up with sports radio, everything. I grew up with the Celtics. My mom had season tickets. I was a big sports girl. And we always used to listen to EEI at home. And when I moved out to San Francisco, I very quickly realized that sports radio in San Francisco is friggin' awful. I think it's because nobody's actually from San Francisco, so there's not the same hometown passion that there is in Boston or New England or anything like that. And this was a time too when you still couldn't stream radio on your phone, and if you could, you had to pay for data. And so I was very cut off from Boston, and I missed it very much, hence why I'm back here again. About 2 years later, we moved back and started listening to EEI, in the morning when I was getting ready and on my way to work and things like that. And this was at the time, I think Dennis was still there, or he had just gone out for rehab or something like that. And I have to admit, I was a big John Dennis fan. But I really liked the balance that sort of Jerry and John and Kirk kind of struck. And I started to be like, who is this Kirk guy that chimes in from every once in a while with some crazy hot take that, I haven't thought about or heard before. And so I got into it. And then obviously John left, and it was him and Jerry, and they just had great chemistry. And I really liked the balance between the sports. I still could get my sports, but I could also get current events and at the time politics, because the election was going on. And so that's kind of how I became a Kirk fan. And, I think too, for me, someone who, I laugh because I grew up in a household with a firefighter and a teacher. It was very strict. I'm an only child, so the attention was always on me. I grew up in a very rules-based home, and if I ever did anything wrong or like stepped outside of the box, it was like, awful. We'll just leave it at that. So I really respect people who can take risks and break the rules. And I really in my personal life now like people who are very straightforward, but in a respectful way. And I think he kind of checks both those boxes. So that's how I started listening. And that's why I became a Kirk fan.
I love that.
Awesome. No, I think we all agree on a lot of those points. So
through all that, I'm like, I love Kirk. But what else?
Jen literally has those little like floating hearts around her head that would be drawn in with a cartoon.
Cute.
So, Allison, I know you and I have one more thing in common, so I have to ask you from 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, yes.
There are two types of people from 90 Day Fiancé, ones who love Darcy and ones who hate Darcy, and where are you on this? Very important question, you guys.
It is. So I have to say, I'm a very empathetic person. Like, I hate seeing people get hurt. I hate it when they make fun of Mike. Like, I feel really bad when people call him fat. Like, I just can't help it. And so Darcy is just so like, she's just screaming for love, and she's just so, she's just so self-conscious, and she clearly has a lot of inner self-confidence issues. And she just relies on men to make her happy. And I just see that, and I'm just like, oh, like, you're so beautiful and you have a lot to offer and you're very caring, and just pay attention to yourself. And I don't know, the part of me does feel very bad for her, because I think that she really has some deep-seated issues that she needs to work out before she's dating men. I think that she has deep-seated issues with her twin sister, who is not very nice to her. And I don't know, I just don't like seeing people get hurt. So I guess I have to say I am a little team Darcy, although I do think she's very self-destructive too. So
I think she should take a bench from reality TV is my takeaway on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's sad.
We have the gold of her running on the treadmill, so I'll just cherish that for the rest of my life. Does anyone have anything else to add? Her running on the treadmill.
That was the best. That was so funny.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You guys are just like, I don't know what any of this is about. But
I have started watching 90 Day Fiance. Somebody has tuned me into it. But I started back at like season 1. And so I don't know if I should start elsewhere or not, but
I remember who was on that.
I just remember Kirilum because I loved Kirilum. She was. They actually started out with couples who were like genuine and seemed, to be in this for the right reason, and then they went looking for the train wrecks as the series went on. So,
you're so reality.
I should really just fast forward to the train wrecks. It seems more entertaining.
Yeah, you want like the Danielle, you want Nicole. So
Nicole and Azan are the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I might have to just binge watch faster.
Yeah, and it's a cultural thing, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they're so blunt in other cultures. So he will like look right at her, and he'll be like, "Yeah, you're 50% okay to me. You're fine. You're suitable." It's exactly like when Mike dropped that. What word did he say about the pizza? It's decent. You're decent.
Or like instead of saying, although he does try to like dance around it a little bit, like they're hiking up some desert, hill of sand, and she's not in shape, and she's, it's hard to walk through sand for like anybody who is in shape, and she's panting and sweating and crying, and he's like, "You are so lazy. Like, you're lazy." And he always calls her lazy. She's like, "I am not lazy."
Yeah, you are. Oh boy. Maybe someday we'll do a 90 Day Fiance podcast, even if it's just for us. I could talk about that show all day. Tara, get caught up.
I know. I was just about to say, all right, new homework.
I would really start with before the 90 days, because I feel like it's more recent and it's a little more dramatic. But
yeah, and you get to see the other countries, which is fun, because you just like, you see someone exposed to different food and different types of showering even, and it's very interesting. So
jeez.
I'm just thinking of Ed and the Rat. Oh.
Good stuff.
That's interesting out of context. Ed and the
So long story short, there's this guy Ed, he's dating this woman Rose, and they are living in a very poor country, and so they bathe like with a bucket and water, and she's like spraying him with a hose. And after all this is done, and oh, by the way, he's bathing with her father. And when all this is done, like the camera pans to the right, and there's this shivering, sick-looking rat, and it's like, and he's like, "Is that a rat?" She goes, "I think it's a mouse. Like nothing's wrong, And he's just like,
my God, that's all right. Great way to end on that note.
Yeah. You should watch that episode. There's no other episode. That was great.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I think we will all be on the same page and listening at 8:30 tomorrow morning for a big announcement, and I can finally put something on my calendar.
I know.
I know. Get me out of this house.
That involves social interaction, even.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Oh.
All right. Well, we'll probably all get together and chat about that soon then.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thanks again, Allison.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
Allison.
Bye.